Hello and welcome to Weird Quest. This is the first ever playtest of my game that I made up because I want to make a game about something I'm not even sure. Mainly because I want to improve upon these systems that are already in in around for OSR type of stuff, and because I'm a nitpick. So uh, the main mechanics are: one, you have your attributes, which are body and mind. They both start at a D8. They work like usage dice in the Black Hack. So when you would strain your body or your mind, you roll that die. If you roll a one or a two, it goes down by one size. So if you roll a d8 and you roll a two, it goes down to a d6. Everyone's aware of the usage die, right? And then when it goes to zero, you're out. And I haven't specified what that means yet, but it's up to interpretation. For now, I just want to see if that works as a mechanic. The Then there's the rule of attribution, which is if you think your character would have an attribute, but it's not on your character, you can ask the GM, and if they approve, you get it at a D8. So in this game, your attributes are less a measure of how good your character is and more of how resilient they are at a specific thing, if that makes sense. Or more resilient currently at a specific thing. So it's less about how powerful you are or how strong you are. It's more like how much more you can take. The other mechanic is to figure out how, if you're successful or not. Each of you has a suit of playing cards. When I say a suit, it's like a fourth of a playing card deck with the same suit. So basically, all the pips and king, queen, jack of one suit. So when you need to know whether you succeed or not, you draw a card, and if that card is pip, then you succeed. If it's a face card, you fail, and then you shuffle the deck. And, that's the core base bare bones mechanics of it. Do you guys have any questions right now?
So we're going with fantasy genre in this case?
Sorry?
We're going with fantasy genre or setting?
All right, let's go with setting next. The setting is based off of a dream I had a while back because I thought it was a good dream and a good setting. Anyways, um, so oh yeah, I forgot to mention there's the deck of fate, which was kind of like the die of fate, but but with the deck, I have a deck of my own, and uh or you guys use your own deck for the deck of fate rather. Uh Anything else I need to worry about? All right, let's start by explaining the setting. Uh the setting, it's fantasy, but it's also very diverse fantasy. Like one of the characters is a bunny person, one of the characters is a literal fucking toucan. So unfortunately, we don't have four players, so I'm either dropping the toucan or the goblin. So pick a character. Like the characters are Bartol, who is an immortal human, and I will actually show you the other doc, the one that has the establishing question, so you have an easier time to picking characters. Characters are all started out except for flags. Flags work like in any other game that you played with flags. So if you need me to explain, they're basically like ways to broadcast to the other players to interact with your character, and then if you do your response to that, like if for example they tell you a lie and you believe it, and you have the flag "Tell me a lie that I believe," you get to, in this case, re-roll one of your die or your attributes, and if it's anything other than a 1 or a 2, it goes up. So it's a way to restore your attributes, and this is once per scene. And sorry, I'm info dumping. Are you guys okay with all that?
Makes sense.
I'm probably going to need to like cross bridges when I come to them.
right.
But so we're picking characters right now, and there's these 4 characters here, so we're supposed to pick one of these, right?
Yeah, I think the more important ones are the bunny girl Arana and Bartol, which is the human immortal. Magos, the toucan mage, and Doors, the goblin thief, are the less important ones. So
I'm feeling Doors or Bartol. I don't know. What are you guys feeling?
I was thinking either Arana or Magos. Both sounded interesting to me.
I would love to go Magos. I've always wanted to do a toucan.
I'll do Arana then.
All right, so that means that I should probably be Bartol. Is that right?
Yeah. I will
Okay.
hide Doors since he let's answer the questions now then. Let me.
Okay, I don't know how to like take the character in Roll20. So...
I will give you the character in Roll20.
Okay.
So I just have to go individually through all of them and give you individually. And you should be able to have control over them now. All right. So let's go through our last day in the homelands questions. Wait, I think Doors will be here. Just he's an NPC. Never mind. Because he's kind of the reason everyone is here to begin with. So, all right. So, the premise is that you are currently in the custody of the bandit clans after Hoarder hired them to grab you, and Hoarder will be this guy. He is a rat person merchant who is really shady because rat people, and that sounded kind of racist against rat people. So but whatever. So let's talk about how you got there to begin with. The first question is actually towards Doors, because he swindled Hoarder yesterday, and he did not appreciate that, and so he got something from Hoarder that Hoarder wanted to keep, but that's not the more important part. Let's start with Bartol. You've been friends with Doors for a while now. When Hoarder sent guards after him, you helped him escape them. In that event, however, Arana joined you. Why did you let her in? And also, more importantly, why did you help Doors? Since he's not a PC in this case. So, and those are the 2 questions. Bartol, Philip. Oh, sorry. You're muted. I just can't see you talking because.
Sorry.
I mean, your mouth was your hand was covering your mouth, and then on top of that, the mute button was on the muted thing was on it, so I couldn't see you talking. So I was like, waiting, but.
Okay. All right. So you're talking about this question where I've been friends with Doors for a while, and Hoarder sent guards after him. I helped him escape then. In that event, Arana joined me. Why did I let her in? That's what we're talking about?
Yeah, why did you let her in? And I'm adding also, why are you friends with Doors to begin with? Why did you help him escape?
I feel like it's like it's about the payoff, right? So I let Arana join because I thought Arana would be useful for getting what we want
All right.
from we're in the bandit clans, right? So we're trying, I think
This is like the day before, in which you were in the homelands.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The homelands being like the one place in the wilderness that is civilized, quote unquote. So but yeah, that could be a fair answer even in the homelands. Like she seemed useful. And yeah. So the next question is for Arana. You were one of the guards sent to grab Doors and Bartol. It turns out that they are under the protection of Parsonet, which I will show as well. The Hard Holder of the Homeland. Why did you decide to stay with them?
Yes, why did I stay with Doors and Bartol? I think I find Bartol to be very interesting. I think maybe he fits the description of like a prophecy of my people. He's gonna bring peace or something like that, so that intrigues me.
All right. And yeah, not last question, because then Magos, you work for Parsonet to keep an eye on Doors and Bartol for this kind of occasion. What debt do you owe Parsonet?
Yeah, I think Parsonet raised me. Parents told me to pay off some debts, so yeah, Parsonet brought me up to work for him.
Cool. And then the following day, the homeland was attacked by the nearby bandit clans thanks to Hoarder. Magos. The bandit clans had unusually powerful spellcasters with them. You suspect it has nothing to do with Hoarder. Why do you think that is the case?
I think there were like spines or bristles around the areas when they were doing spellcasting. I think they found the secret of hedgehog magic, the ancient hedgehog magic.
Tell me more about the hedgehog magic.
Well, when the bandits are casting it, they sort of move or scurry about in the ground like hedgehogs and carve runes into the ground, and they sprinkle these sort of bristles around that they get from hedgehogs.
All right, cool. Doors is not here. But yeah. Bartol surrendered himself before the bandit clans after it was obvious that the homeland would fall otherwise. So again, I'm gonna reframe this question for Bartol. Why do you think that the homeland should be a part of this world? Does that make any sense?
Like what's worthwhile about the homelands?
Yeah, what's worthwhile about the homelands that you had to?
Why do I appreciate the homelands?
And more so that to the extent that you would let yourself be captured so that it stays working.
I think that that it's the way that you can kind of avoid people if you want to. Like it's like there's lots of places to seclude away and kind of be on your own, or hide out in a way. Like there's like little hideouts, little enclaves that you can go to be by yourself or to be with certain people. I think that's what I appreciate about it.
All right. And then And then Doors came with you for whatever reason. Arana, after Doors and Bartol were taken away, you and Magos went after them. What made you want to rescue them, other than the prophecy? Because you spent like a night at wherever they're staying. So,
Well, I think that Bartol's sacrifice was very honorable. I've been working for this kind of scummy rat merchant for however long, and probably feeling a little disillusioned by that. And then here's this guy who's like willing to be captured for the homeland. I think that was like very inspiring. Seemed like a good dude, and I wanted to maybe look for new employment.
all right, cool. And last question is for Bartol. The bandit clans want to perform a ritual to bring back a forgotten god into the world. They need the blood of an immortal mortal to do so. How do they know that you are one?
I think it's because I didn't fall asleep. Like maybe they had us captured, right?
Yeah,
and like maybe they left us and I didn't fall asleep.
All right. So
like they could tell, like maybe I tried to fake it and I'm just not that good of an actor.
So I think this is where we pick up. Arana and Magos, you're behind the tree line. But let's move to the other page. You're behind the tree line, and this is what it generally looks like. Except it has a grand ritual being prepared, and Bartol and Doors are tied up, and their stuff is on the side. But you two are looking at this ritual thing. What do you do? What's your plan, rather?
So one of us do a diversion while the other one tries to set them free, or?
Well, that's not a bad idea. You're awful flashy. Maybe you should be the distraction.
Yeah, it says I can do magic, but it doesn't sort of say what. Can I do some sort of swirling lights or something? As if it's something weaving even in and out of the bushes?
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a magic roll. So
I was just referring to your big beak, but cast a spell, that's fine too.
Yeah, spellcasting, I haven't defined it much because this is just testing to see if the core system works. So yeah, it's just roll to see how much it costs you.
Okay.
I think you're gonna be successful because, or no, you're an archmage, so you get to draw twice and take the better result.
Okay, so do we have to choose which set of cards we're going to use, or was that?
Oh no, those are in the attributes. That's if you are at a table, you pick which set is the tracker. If that makes sense.
So I can just pick whatever one I want to.
Oh no, it's magic. In this case, it's magic. Like, so if you go in their attributes and abilities, you will see that you have body, mind, and magic, and then abilities, and then you will have roll body, roll mind, and spellcasting.
Okay, yeah.
And then you see the button on spellcasting. Yeah, that's a 6, so your magic is fine. Draw from the diamonds deck. Or like, so I think it's pull one out and put it on the table for us to see.
Yeah.
From the deck that. Yeah. All right, and let's put it on the table. So on the picture, I guess.
Okay.
Because, and honestly, 7.
Yeah.
So, and it would technically draw 2 anyways, because you're an
Yeah.
archmage. So do the same thing with the second one. It's basically to see if you draw. Okay, that's fine. All right. So the spell goes off, and you cause a commotion somewhere. Describe what it is. It's just some lights.
I thought maybe like a snake that's sort of flying and weaving in and out of the bushes, but sort of shimmering and very colourful rainbow.
Right.
It's not aggressive. It's just having a good time, but very visually distracting.
All right, cool. Arana, what do you do?
Well, I asked for flashy. I guess we got flashy. I'm gonna spring forward with my little rabbit legs. When I see that the bandits are distracted, I'm gonna try to free Bartol from his bindings.
That will. I think that will be a draw in case they notice you doing that well.
Right.
Yeah.
Sure.
So you draw from hearts. And put it on the table. Yes. All right, you do so. And Bartol, you see Arana rescuing you. What do you think about that?
So Arana is rescuing me, and I knew that she'd be useful. So
I'm guessing she also frees doors.
Well,
Just
if I have to.
Well, he's technically there.
No, I would definitely do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not that cruel.
So, and yeah, he's a thief. He's trained, or you think he's trained to keep quiet, and he does. So you're both sneaking back.
Sorry, mister. I have a different prophecy in mind for you. I'm kind of side-eyeing the cultists or whatever.
And are we like what's our situation here right now? Like, I just got freed.
Yeah, basically.
Is this like, so he just freed me, and I'm sorry, I'm just trying to like visualize the situation that we're in. So we're in like a
clearing in a forest with a camp.
Right.
So
okay.
And sorry for not being so descriptive, but you're in a camp. You're at a camp. A ritual is being prepared. It's not starting yet. It's just in the process of getting prepared when this flying snake thing showed up and lured all the bandits away.
So we're there, but all the bandits are not. Is that right? I'm gonna now that I'm free, I'm just like going to work at looking for the score here, right? Because there's got to be something valuable in a camp full of bandits, right?
All right. So, what's your intent? Just grab their valuables and go, or are you trying to?
Yeah.
All right.
Exactly. I don't know what that is, but
I think Doors is going to help with that, so he's also gonna draw. I'll draw for him.
Yeah, and I definitely want to beat him to the real prize if I can. So what do I draw here?
You draw with spades. So the first deck on top, you
okay. Just click draw.
Yes.
All right. Just one card?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then show it to everyone. Or put it on the.
I think I just click it. Okay. Does everyone see that? Or do I have to drag it on?
You drag it to the table, I think.
Okay.
That's that. Yeah, you all succeed. So, yeah, I think you get valuables. There are a bunch of gems and a bunch of coins.
right.
Like 3 rubies, a sapphire, and 53 coin for you.
Okay, where do we put that at?
Gear.
A gear? Okay. I just go to edit and put
Yeah.
it in. 3
And-
rubies, a sapphire, and
53 coins.
okay, cool. I got money.
And this is like the thing that both of you found and pulled together.
Is there anything I find that isn't necessarily valuable but is like really interesting or kind of betrays something about the bandits? Would this be like another card draw or something?
No, this. I think with the 1 card draw, you get it. I think you find more information about the gold.
Okay.
Or about the cultist
Mm-hmm.
who wants your blood. Tell
I mean,
me,
who doesn't?
tell me what
What it is?
Tell me what it is, yeah, and how you feel about that.
So I think that what it is, I think I just overwrote my dang thing. Oh, no. Yeah, I did.
What happened?
I accidentally exited out of my inventory thing.
3 rubies, 1 sapphire, 53 coins.
Okay, cool. I think I find
And make sure you click save.
I find like I find like an old weapon that I decided not to use anymore. Because I was gaining too much of a reputation with it a long time ago. I think it was like I use swords now, right? Is that right?
Sorry?
Does my character use swords now?
Yeah, he has a sword.
A long sword, right? Okay, I think it was like a very special sword. It was like maybe it's like a blue colored gladius. Like the sapphire gladius that is like its legitimacy is that you know, when you put it next to sapphires, it like starts they start to glow, and that was like my signature weapon a long time ago, and it got kind of lost in history, and I was moved on to other things, and then here it is again. So they must have kind of used this to kind of get on a trail of someone who was immortal.
And do you test it out to see if it's the real thing? You have a sapphire,
right? Yeah, I definitely like I look at it, and you know, like, it's been a while since I've seen this sword, but it's like I'm forgetting the details. Like I have like an impression of it in my mind. It was so long ago. It's kind of like trying to remember a childhood toy. But I reach into my pouch and kind of play with the sapphires a little bit and have them cupped in my hand, and I just bring it closer to the sword.
Yeah, it glows. Or what was supposed to glow? The sapphire or the sword?
I think the sapphires glow.
Yeah, the sapphire glows, definitely.
And I like close my hand really quickly and put it away, and then when I was like trying to be careful to make sure that doors didn't see, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not gonna make you draw for that, but
and then I just like pick it up and like feel like the balance of the sword in my hand, and then I like take it. I just decide to take it.
All right, cool. I'm not sure if you want to do the emotional part. So, if that's the case, I will make you roll mind.
Sure, I could try it out. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Like, is it basically like the emotion of being reunited with
Yeah.
the sword?
Yeah.
Okay, so I draw.
No, you go to your character sheet, click on attributes and abilities, and roll mind. There's a button under roll mind.
Okay,
And that's an
I think I
8,
did
so
a
you're
thing.
fine.
All right, I'm not sure where that appeared. Okay, I see it now.
You're fine. This you do have nostalgia, but it doesn't affect you in a negative way. I think
I feel great. Like, I think I'm really happy. I'm like, hey, well, maybe it's time for this sword to come back.
Well,
maybe I should remind people that I had a reputation and that I was feared, and then they won't fuck with me anymore.
All right, cool. Magos, you're waiting for Arana to come back, and waiting. And then
can I fly up, have a look around?
Sure. And Arana, I wanted to also see what you were doing while the thieves were looting.
Well, I hope that I get a cut of that for saving your sorry butts. But I think that she's probably trying to like get into a position that if the bandits were to come back or figure out that it was an illusion, that she could kind of like be prepared to either ambush them or defend, whatever would be necessary.
Yeah, I think you see Magos flying.
Yeah, that's that big yellow beak.
Caw.
Right. And yeah, Magos, you can talk. You're saying. So
that's just trying to be stealthy, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So you're reunited, Dorses. I think that's useful to hear. Do you guys should we leave now? I think we should.
Yeah, I think that as we're leaving, I turn back at the camp and I think is there like fire here?
Sure.
Yeah, I go and I grab a piece of wood that's on fire and I just walk up to one of the buildings and light it.
All right.
One of the tents or whatever it is here.
I think the problem is going to be that the bandits would be done with their thing.
Oh, so soon. Time is of the essence.
Yeah, time is of the essence, and
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're probably outnumbered by all the bandits. So,
hustle.
Yeah, I guess we can just hustle out of there, and I can not do that.
All right, cool. So you start walking. In what direction? I can show you the map. So do you start walking back to homeland or in a different direction?
Well, Magos, does Parsonet want us to come back?
I mean, I think when you left, the impression was that, I'm not sure what the impression was actually. Like, Bartol, when you gave yourself up, was the impression like they left you, or they were out, they wanted you to leave to stop causing shit, or was the impression like different?
So you're asking, did Parsonet want me to leave with Doors to stop causing shit?
Or yeah, like or not just parsing it, but like the town in general. Like what is
I think that you know, I think that Parsonet just wanted to keep an eye on me. And I think maybe Parsonet knows that I'm more than I look, and I think that maybe Doors was causing trouble in town, and so when we left, he was just like, "Okay, good, but maybe go watch them or something." I don't know. What do you think?
Well, Magos is definitely keeping an eye on you. That was the establishing question. I'm not sure whether people will be happy to see Doors back or not, since this whole shit started because of him.
I'm kind of thinking let's go off towards bottom right or southeast just for like an hour, see if we're followed or anything first, because we don't want to lead a bunch of bandits straight back to town.
Oh, that's a good point. I like that.
Yeah, that's a point. So let's say you were draw shape, and the shape would be so let's all right. So you were here. Let's move you more southeast. Eventually, I think you will see that yes, they are trying to track you. I'm thinking Bartol should do this, since or not, or which one should do it? I don't think Magus should.
Are we talking about like avoiding them?
Yeah, avoiding them. Like
I think what I would do is I'm like trying to set up a trap and like ambush them. And so like we're in a forest, so I'm like I'm looking for like a spot, maybe like in the terrain where we'll have like a height advantage on them, and we can like attack them, and kind of they'll be a little bit like they won't have a lot of directions that they can go. Like maybe there's like a rocky alcove or something that we can like hide on top of.
All right.
And like lead them into. What do you think?
Yeah, what do you guys think?
Yep, that sounds good. Have like a 3-way attack. And I can jump down from a tree or whatever as well, so they won't be expecting it.
And Arana?
Well, if we have to make camp, it's going to be awfully lumpy. But I guess we'll have to make do.
Right. Yeah, I think, Bartol draw to see how well it goes. And I think the decks are... All right, I would put... All right, I have to... So I guess that I have to take the cards.
Okay, just let me know what I should do.
Draw a card.
Draw a spades, right?
Yeah, spades. And then I'm gonna steal the card.
You're stealing from me. Let it go, I guess.
It's a jack, so and I'm gonna just figure out how the hell I'm showing this to everyone. Oh, wait,
so it's
wrong page.
Particularly lumpy.
Take card. All right. Here we go. Jack. There. All right. And yeah, it's not that it's particularly lumpy. It's that they see the ambush coming, and they're prepared. So I think Bartol, or I think we can do combat right now, if that's okay. So I shuffle the deck, and then actually let me recall all the spades, and then shuffle. Yeah. So yeah, that's what has happened so far. Like, all right. let's do combat. And I think all of the decks are called and shuffled. So recall, shuffle, because all right. So I have this deck here. You see the bandits, about 5 of them, and you see this scary looking fellow with them. So yeah, I will show you the card, and that's who will go. So first off, stating intent. Like, what is going to be your first move in this? Like, what is your like, if you get the card, what is the move you're gonna make?
Well, I'm going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Right.
And I want to start kicking some of these boulders out of the way because I'm trying to make a level camp here. But also, I'm rolling these boulders down at the bandits.
Right.
As they're running up the hill or whatever.
Magos?
Sorry, I thought the green section was trees, so we're in hilly terrain. Okay, that makes more sense.
Well, it's trees and hills, I guess, because we have hills now. I'm fine with that.
I'm gonna try. I don't know. I guess I'll try and use magic to make the stones on the ground spiky, so they're just gonna punch the hell out of their own legs by coming towards us.
Right. And Bartol, what's your plan A?
I think I'm going to I think that I'm going to just go at them, like head on, like charge, and really aggressively, and try and maybe intimidate them, like with my brutality.
And your sword, your good sword, do that. So.
Yeah.
All right. Doors will. I think Doors will also charge at them. I think, and then I don't think I have to tell you what the others are doing, but
I like the idea that maybe like I'm going head on at them, and then Doors is like going in backstabbing or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, first card is a Jack of Cups. So I'm gonna say Cups are the bandits because I should have declared this earlier, and then Shields are is the big bad. And since it's a Jack, it means they failed, and I reshuffled the deck. So their counter attack doesn't really go well. So they're trying to reconsider. Like, oh shit, they can I think they're prepared even though we caught their ambush. So, but there's no real move yet. So this keeps track of the combat deck, keeps track of like important actions. So you can, like, it doesn't keep track of like missed blows or like feints or anything like that. It just, when you draw, it's whichever one succeeds and who succeeds first. So and that was in the round. So you spend 1 minute pretty much exchanging blows, and I'm guessing the intent stays the same since it's just a minute of charging and preparing.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm fighting them. I'm trying to like intimidate them, but I'm also like fighting them, I guess. And yeah, I think I'm also looking to see like if anyone yields to me.
All right, cool. Next card is Jack of Clubs. I think Doors will have problems now, and oh my god, why is it Jack? But is it the Jacks? So yeah, next. So Doors will have problems, and I will actually. I'm not, and yeah, that's the end of round. I don't think I roll for any of his stuff. So because that was a failed attempt. So yeah. And please give me something that isn't a... All right. So Doors is going to shank a guy. And how this works is he has normal swords, but when fighting with two weapons, actually draw twice and take the better result. So that doesn't work in combat, so I have to reframe that. So keeping that in mind, I can't really have him draw twice. All right. I had a brain fart there, but he does have Blade Expert, which means that he treats bladed weapons as a grade better when wielding them. So with two normal swords, I look at the chart in damage resolution. He drew a 9, so he has normal swords that become good swords. Doesn't really matter. And yeah, he deals 3 damage to one of the bandits. So the bandits would roll their die 3 times. So let me roll. For their body is going to be a d6 because I'm generous like that. And I'm not going to make you roll or fight equal things right now. So, okay, so he at least gets injured. Yeah, he injures one of the bandits. And Dorsey will keep stabbing at that bandit until something happens. Next drop. This is hearts. So 9 of hearts. So Arana, your intent was kicking boulders?
Heck yeah.
All right. So I think the boulders will count as bad weapons, but it gives you the advantage of they're not being close to you. So bad weapons deal 2 damage. And it also gives you the advantage of dealing damage to all of them.
Oh, okay.
All right, I think. So
lots of lumps to get rid of.
Yeah, so let me roll that d4 to see if you kill that guy first. And no, that guy doesn't die. Roll d6 for the second guy. Second guy is fine. Third guy. Third guy is fine. Fourth guy. Fourth guy is down to d4. Fifth guy. It's fine. And then big boss is that body. Ooh, big boss got hit. And then roll body again. Ooh, big boss got hit hard. All right. So let me keep track of who has d4s and who has d6s. All right. So d4. All right. So reset your intent. What is your intent now? Arana, since you were the one who did that.
Well, the next important part of making camp is getting a fire started. So I think I need to start making striking a fire. So that's going to be like hitting a sword with a shield is a pretty good way to do that. So I think I'm going to run down there and start hitting the bandits that are wearing metal armor or shields. And I'm going to start clanging at them.
Next up is the boss with an 8. Boss was going to engage Bartol. And with an 8, he has magic that he's good at magic. So I think Bartol is going to have to roll 3 times on body.
All right, let's do this.
All right.
So the big bad guy's using magic against Bartol.
Yeah.
I've got an ability that says I read that in a book once. When you recall bits of knowledge, you know it without rolling or drawing. Can I have read about the magic he's using in a way to give him a bonus, saying, that's this, do this sort of thing?
Well, no, it more that one is more like shit about like his spell, for example. Like
yeah,
but
I can't help him. With
like this is kind of in a turn order. Is that what I'm picking up?
Yeah, this is basically turn order and.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and roll those 3 body now.
Yeah.
So I just click the button 3 times.
Well, click now. Reduce the die to D6 and then click again.
Oh, how do I reduce the? Oh, I see. On body. Okay, sorry. Yeah. All right.
Fine.
So
it's fine.
I have body as a D6 now, so I'll go ahead and click that 3 times. Is that right?
Well, you clicked once. That's why you reduce it. Because I'm just telling you the results as I see them on the chat.
Oh, because I got a 2.
You got a 1. You got a 1.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, and so then I got a 3 on the D6, and then I roll it one more time.
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, so you got hit by whatever this death spell was, but you're fine. Ish.
Like, what's it look like? Like, what's the spell look like?
It looks like a necrotic green-black thing that goes towards you and starts corroding your skin somehow, even though you're immortal.
I think that I think it smacks me in like the shoulder and like disintegrates like whatever like shirt I'm wearing, and like you can see like my skin like green like green, like this green burning of my skin like sizzling away, and then it like starts to like form back because hey, I'm immortal. But I charge at them and totally I'm using the sapphire cutlass and just like slicing and dicing.
Right. Next up, Magos, you got a 3. Your intent was, remind us your intent again.
That was I was making the stones on the ground all spiky so they puncture the hell out of their legs as they're running towards us.
Yeah, I think that will be the same as Arana's initial intent, which was damage to all of them. It's a 3, so consulting the chart, it is bad damage. So 1. I will roll the stuff for all of them once. 1 guard. Okay, actually, I will do the other one as well, and then 1, 2, 3. One of them is down to D4 again. This one, and then Seeker will probably die. Nope. They're still up, but you damage a bunch of them. Next up is Doors. And I said he was going to stab someone. So with a 5, he gets 2 damage on the one of the ones with D4. And kills him. His intent is to go after the leader now. Oh, and by the way, what's your intent now, Magos?
Now I want a sort of illusion magic to make God, what's his name? I'm going to get back to the other bit. Bartol, like his eyes and his skin glow like his sword. So it's like he's getting more powerful as he's fighting.
All right. So make the illusion to drive them to like.
Yeah, like this guy's not getting tired. This guy's getting more powerful.
Yeah, to intimidate them. All right.
Yeah, ideally I could get them to like surrender to me.
All right. Next up is Bartol. That 8.
An 8. Okay.
So who are you engaging?
So it's like bandits, but they're also cultists. Is that right?
They're bandits, and then there's the lich-looking guy.
Who's kind of their leader?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I need to stop him, obviously. So I think I'm going to charge him, and plus he just shot that day energy blast at me. So
yeah.
Necrotic energy. So, yeah, I think that I'm going to like run and like my intent is to basically slay him.
All right.
So that's my intent.
Your Gladius, I think, is going to be better than good. It's going to be amazing because it's a legendary weapon. So amazing. An amazing sword deals 4 damage.
Okay.
So he's gonna most likely die. I just need to roll his shit like 4 times. And that's funny. Okay, he's dead. The lich is dead. Hooray.
Okay, and so yeah, I think what I do is I like run towards him and I like jump and like flip over a bandit who is trying to get in my way, and then I like spin and like trip him up with my legs. This weird cult leader guy, this lich, and then like as he's falling, I like bring my sword up like through his neck and decapitate him.
All right, cool.
There can be only one.
All right. You still have to. Well, the bandits still have to notice that their leader is dead. But so next up is Doors shanking. Well, he was also trying to shank the leader, but now I guess he's shanking someone else. With good, he gets 1 because he rolled a shitty 3. He's gonna shank the. I guess he can't because again he was going after the lich, and then he's gonna look at going after one of the injured guys. Next up, and is the queen. And end of round, I think this is when everyone notices that lich is dead. So,
because I'm holding up the head by like the hair or whatever.
Yeah, it's like, and they see that the lich is dead. So it's like, because and their intent is to run away now. What do you do?
My intent is to capture
one.
Capture one. And yeah, I just look for like the strongest bodied one that I can. And I'm just gonna, my intent is to basically like put my blade to his throat and get him to completely submit.
Unless like they're just running, unless the other players are trying to stop you, I think this is just a regular draw from your deck. Or from your suit.
All right, so I just draw a card, right?
Yeah, you draw a card from spades.
Okay. It'd be cool if it like had like an auto fill in Roll20 for the 1.
An auto what now? Oh, right.
Like if it automatically put like a 1 in for me. But here we go. I got a 9.
All right, cool. So you get a guy. So you managed to basically grab a guy and
Yeah, so like it's like it's this really like oxen bandit who is a little slower than the rest of them on his feet, and he tries to run past me, but I like whirl around him and bring my arm around, and my blade's like on his neck and like stops him from going any further. And I think I just like push him down to his knees.
what do you say to him?
Yeah, I say, you're not going anywhere. We have some questions.
Oh, who
You
are
better
you?
listen to him, buddy. He's the chosen one.
What are you talking about?
Can't you tell? Look at this guy. He's amazing.
So I think he's pretty intimidated, so he can answer questions as needed.
Yeah, I look over to our magic user and I'm just like, all right, he's all yours.
Magos?
Yeah, where are the sorry, is this the leader or is this one of the henchmen?
This is the henchman. Like the leader is dead.
Yeah, nice collectible head that I've got right here.
Gotta catch them all. So okay, we can say who's why did you work for the Lich? Who's, was he paying you or someone else paying you to raid the town?
Who's
pulling the strings?
The rat guy paid us to raid the town. The Lich was just interested in it for some reason.
Now hold on before y'all jump to conclusions. There's lots of rat guys out there. All right. Just because it was a rat guy doesn't necessarily mean that it was my boss. Okay. Maybe it was a different rat guy. Do you remember his name?
I don't care. It's a rat guy who paid us a lot of money. And
well, I think that you can forget getting any more money. In fact, I think you're going to be coming with us until we have more answers.
I really don't know his name. He talked to our leader.
Where?
Not
where?
the Lich.
Where was this? Where?
Back at camp.
Here or at the camp?
At the camp.
I'm sure that was not where the trail leads here. I'm sure that you had your people in your clan arranging this meeting, going to places. Where does the trail go?
Wait, what trail?
Like I'm basically interrogating him, being like, okay, I know it's more than just he came to a camp. Like who was involved? Where did they go? Where did they meet?
Okay.
Like, how was this arranged?
So, all right. So he lets you know that the bandit clans were united by this rat guy. Well, more like they were united by the Lich, trying to find this immortal mortal to get their blood. And then this rat guy came in with an inn to the homeland and saying, there's an immortal mortal there. You should probably get him. and like that happened.
Okay, but we don't know why they wanted an immortal. Is that right?
The Lich wanted to resurrect a dead god or forgotten god.
Okay.
Look at the Lich's body and just see if there's anything sort of useful.
All right, you check the body and there's a grimoire that seems pretty useful. It's a book.
Okay.
Oh.
Is there any of the hedgehog spike things that?
Sorry?
I thought the bandits could do the hedgehog magic. Or was this
All right. Hedgehog magic. I think the hedgehog magic is with like there's a book. The grimoire is of the hedgehog magic.
All right, cool. Oh, well, I'll start flipping through that while they're chatting to the prisoner.
Right. So yeah, I think that is. I don't know. I'm not sure how to make that a talent, but yeah, you basically learn how to do hedgehog magic in like in a more advanced, better version of the game. I would have like a list of
Yeah,
talents
it's going to take some time. I'll just have a quick flick through, see if there's a mention of like immortals or that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it does. And with I read that in a book once. I think you know about. Let me think of a name for. How about the Forgotten Goddess Scaneth?
Okay.
Yeah, and how it's gonna be resurrected with the blood of an immortal mortal.
Oh, okay. So they didn't need a quick donation; they need a sacrifice, and yeah, it's not nice stuff.
I'm kind of peering over your shoulder, and I'm like, well, if he was forgotten, he couldn't have been that great to begin with, huh? What's the big deal?
I think people wanted to forget him. This is pretty nasty stuff.
Well, I need to get some beauty rest. So you have fun with our new friend. I'm going to try to find some nice moss or something. Maybe a sheep that's not too complaining. Might make a good pillow. And you figure this stuff out.
I think we can cut here and talk about what the hell just happened in like gameplay matters. Like I said, this is like the first playtest ever, so I'm not. So feel free to comment away on what worked or what didn't work, or.
Sure, yeah, we can definitely talk about it. I'm just gonna give you a heads up that I have delivery that could show up at any time. So if I have to run away for a second, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
But yeah, I thought it was interesting with the stating the intent. I kind of like the changing intent, the focus on that. Like, what is your intent? I think that the card drawing was interesting. So that kind of worked like turn order when you were drawing it, right? Like it's a combat thing. So basically, my understanding is when it's combat, you draw the cards, and when your suite comes up,
when your suit comes up,
you can fulfill your intent by making a roll. Is that
not necessarily by making a roll, but you fulfill your intent, and then depending on the number,
you say how you do it. You say how you're doing your intent, right? Like, or what you're aiming for. You say your intent, and then depending on what your intent is, you roll one of your skills, and then depending on the result, is that right?
No, the card itself has a number,
right?
And that number determines the damage you deal to the opposing side or your target if you do hit them.
And it's successful if you have a number as opposed to face guard, right?
Correct.
So it's like success and level
damage
all in one. It's
yeah,
pretty cool.
Success and level of success.
So when you're drawing the cards in combat, you the GM are drawing them, and you draw my suite. Then I draw a.
No, you don't draw.
I don't.
It's
draw.
already there. It's already there.
So your card that you draw determines whether I succeed or fail and how much damage I do. Is that right?
Yeah.
And then I don't roll. Do I? I do roll?
No, because rolling is bad in this game. Like if you roll, like rolling means there's a chance of
you get a face card and then I roll. Is that right?
No, it's more like if I draw for example an 8 on and it's your suit, it means you deal 8. You deal an 8 to them. Consult the chart. That's how many times they roll to see if they're used up. Their die you get used up. Does that make more sense?
Oh, right. Yeah. So I'm rolling only
To see if you get damaged or not, or how badly damaged you get.
Okay. All right. I'm still not 100% clear on this. It's making a little bit more sense.
So outside of combat, when you fail, you still, as a GM, would you always tax the die? Like, would you always have them try to roll body or mind to see, or is that just one of your options? Toolkit.
I think you can also tax body and mind whenever you succeed. It's basically like if this would be taxing at all, period. Like you can make them roll and draw if it's something that's both taxing. Like, for example, at the beginning of the game, I think I made Magos rolled his spellcasting and then draw to see if it's successful.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
okay, because
one is to
that
see
powerful spell could tire him out. So
it's like you draw to see if it succeeds or not. You roll to see if it costs you or not.
So I like the risk die factor. I think it's really cool to see it in an attribute. I like that there's only a couple attributes to keep in mind and like a couple, like there's not like an information overload, which is useful. And what I like about a lot of OSR, is that they pare things down. It's more minimal. What do you do if you're in combat and you keep drawing one suit? So like, let's say you just keep drawing hearts. All
right.
Does that mean like one person's just taking like multiple turns in a row?
Like, I know how Drake explains it is that it's not just like, it's more like whoever like reacts first, but in this case it's whoever gets shots in constantly. Like, so like I said earlier, I visualize it as the combat's taking place and all the cool action is happening, but we've only focused on like the draw means, okay, so this beat, so to speak, happens. This is when something relevant happens to the fiction. And because the combat is still going on, you're still like trading casual blows and shit, but the draw signifies that this happens that is actually relevant.
Right.
And that changing it, and that's why it also changes intent.
Okay.
And maybe ends the round and stuff.
Yeah. I could see that. Yeah, I think it's tricky because like we had that situation where Dobbs, or I forgot his name. Doors was going to stab the cult leader, but then somebody else killed the cult leader, and then it was his turn, and he had to kind of change his intent again. But because you have no way of knowing, like you find out simultaneously whose turn it is and if they're successful.
Yes.
So it can't be like, let's see whose turn it is and then tell me your intent, right? Because you'd know if you failed before you state your intent. Yeah. So I think it's tricky to like, I don't know how you avoid the problem of I was going to kill this guy, but then somebody just killed him before me. Other than I guess you just keep updating your intent in your mind. I don't really know.
I think my intent in that design choice is that the intent is like you declare your intent precisely because of those moments. Like you were going after this guy and then suddenly, oh, he's dead. Now I have to turn around and go after someone else.
Right.
Like keeping it like dangerous, so to speak. So like, or how do I put it?
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Like
dynamic, right?
Dynamic, yeah. Like you're. I guess that would be also like you. Like that beat in the fiction if you draw a card and your intent can't happen because, for example, the guy you were going after you got killed. I think I imagine it as in the camera it would look like you realizing, oh shit, this guy's dead, and then going after someone else. If this was a movie.
Right.
So just to clear it up, if your intent is kind of invalidated before your card is drawn,
you still go through with it until you draw your card, or until until the end of round is hit, in which case everyone's intent is reset anyways.
Okay. All right, cool. I had a thought, like, is this specifically for combat, or is this for any kind of situation where your mind or body could be affected?
It's for any charge situation where you need to figure out who goes first or not.
Okay.
Anything that would affect body and mind, that's just a roll.
So the deck, basically the turn order, it's just completely random.
Yeah.
Sort of, in a way. I mean, you could count the cards, but and so it's really more of a way of like moderating the spotlight, I feel, in the way that turn order, it's not like Dungeons and Dragons where there's a strategy to the turn order. It's more of like it's just a way of moderating the spotlight, because you're not really going to be able to plan something out with the way that it is. I don't think you really can. When your card is drawn, you find out whether you succeed or fail, and then you kind of complete the mechanics of it, right? Like you kind of just execute what happens.
Yeah.
But you've already said what your intent is at the beginning of the round. Is that right?
Yeah, and then when you resolve your intent, then you would declare a new intent.
Okay. So like
I stab him, now I'm going after.
We start a new round. I say my intent, like, oh, I'm gonna go and slay him. And then you start drawing the cards, and when you draw my card, I have the opportunity to do that. Or I do that, or I roll. I see if I did it. So like, say I succeed, you get a number. Yeah. And then
and I roll how badly damage you get him.
How much damage do I deal?
Yeah.
You roll that. So you were saying it's like a 4 for my weapon or something like that, and then
and then I roll 4 times on my usage die.
So you roll 4 dice, okay. And then what did I roll in that situation? Did I roll anything?
You rolled I think twice.
Because I got hit by his.
Yeah, you got hit by his thing. You rolled.
That was the previous round, I think. My previous action, I think. I'm not sure.
It was his action. So he drew, and it was his turn. So he hit you because that was his intent, and then
I rolled the 3 dice for his hit.
Yeah, and then your dice got reduced. So
okay, so it's kind of like rolling for harm in Apocalypse World in a way. Is that right? In a sense, right? It's like rolling for harm in Apocalypse World, except you're rolling usage dice.
Yeah.
Okay. So my initial impression is that the mechanics are more reactionary than agency identified. Like, what's a situation where I choose to engage a mechanic?
What do you mean?
What's a situation where I can choose to draw a card or choose to? Is there a situation like that?
As written, it's not. You are right. It's more like I tell you to draw a card when.
Okay. I mean, that's fine. So I'm thinking about, like, at the table, right? We're playing it. Like, say we're playing this at the table. It's a little different when you're playing online, I know, but like let's just say we're playing this at the table. Why would I draw anything, or why would I roll anything? Why wouldn't the GM just do it all?
That's a good point.
So I would think about how you can like give more ownership of the game to the players, maybe like maybe see if there's some way you can give them a choice to engage in a mechanic, right? Like give them a choice to pick up a die or give them a choice to draw a card or some like consider like maybe there's a way that you can bounce things off of each other, you know? Right? I'm thinking, I don't know off the top of my head, I don't know, but like maybe if your card draws a face card or something, right? Like maybe there's something you can do, right? Like it is it's like a turn for the worse for sure, but like maybe there's some way to react in the moment. I'm not sure. Like a counter, right? Like you think about like games, like they often like when you're hit, you have an option to like counter somehow. And maybe you still take a hit, but maybe there's something that you can do to change the situation in a way or brace yourself for the next one or something, you know?
Yeah.
Something to think about.
All right.
And the idea of like us being at the table, I think that even outside of a charge situation, there might be. I guess it's still up to the GM about whether they ask you to draw a card or not. But like when Magos wanted to create an illusion, right? You could just say, sure, you do it, or if it's risky, you could do that. I think the benefit would be fictional positioning, right? I think that that's something you might need to be more explicit about in the text, but it's like I still had to draw after Magos created this rainbow serpent, right?
Oh, okay.
I still needed to draw. I guess it would have been nice if mechanically I could have had a bonus to that in some sort of way because there was this distraction. It almost felt kind of like, well, it's cool that there's this rainbow serpent flying around, but I still would have had to draw to run and get him. I guess the situation would be different. The circumstances would be different. Failure in that case would maybe be like all the bandits jumping me as opposed to the one or two that weren't distracted or something like that. But yeah, I think if like when it comes to the expanded game content, I think that's your opportunity to like give people cool things to do. Like you can do this. You'll have to draw a card, but I don't know. That's just
I'm trying to think how bonuses will work here, and I'm not coming up with anything immediately.
I have something that maybe could get you thinking. Maybe you can have like saves or something like a hold or something that you get depending on what the mechanics do. You get like a pass on a hit or something, or a rebound or something. Like where if they draw your card or the enemy targets you and
so like fate points or something where you spend them, or a version of fate points where you spend them to
so how do you restore the die, the usage die?
Usage die hitting flags.
Okay.
And then when you hit a flag,
maybe you can have like some kind of let's see. If someone draws you, so basically the idea is that the NPCs will target whoever the GM dictates. But maybe if you are targeted, or if you fail, I guess, one of those or both, and you hit a flag somehow, like you bring in the multiplayer aspect of the party play, maybe you can get a point or something. I know it will restore your die. Well, I'm just thinking about a way to kind of bring in an edge, right?
Yeah, I think the idea of like having points you can spend to do stuff in the middle of combat or in a charge situation or whatever, that's good. I think like I'm just having to think on how to implement that, like, because, and even then
I would think of a way. Sorry, I know I'm jumping back and forth here. I would think of a way to give a little bit of control, even if it's just like a single action or something. I don't know, like a single move. Let's think of how that opportunity is granted. Like, what's the mechanical basis for giving a opportunity to one of the player characters, right? Like, the combat as it is, it's not really in the player's hands. I don't know. It feels like that to me. Like, think about the exception case when it does go into the player hands, where they can make a meaningful choice, right? So, like a meaningful mechanical choice. Maybe like something involving their mind or body, right? Because that's the core of it. Or where they can choose to help each other, for example, right? like some way that their options open up just for a second, right? Just in that little tiny moment in the battle or whatever, like they have an opportunity to do something like out of the blue, right?
I think I can have a fate point Benny hero point system where you can act out of turn, so to speak, and steal their card. That if does that make sense? Like, for example, if the opponent draws like a hard card, like a 9 of their thing, you spend a point to steal that card, and now it's your action, and you get to do that at that level. Does that make sense?
Vaguely, but I'm sorry, but
so, like, basically, mechanically speaking, you're stealing their action, and then I'm not sure how that would work fictionally.
I mean, what if you can do it at a cost? I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm doing. It's like the cost. Well, mechanically, the cost is the point, but fictionally,
like what's the fictional cost, right?
Yeah,
or
that's
like
what I
maybe
have to think about.
you like maybe you become the target, or like maybe if like they'll come back at you extra strong or something, you know? Like make it a risk, right?
Yeah.
So, like if the harder you can make like if you can insert a choice and the harder that you make it, I think the more of an experience you'll have at the table, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's an interesting idea using the cards for kind of controlling the spotlight. I kind of like that. I just want to see it open up a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
Like at the table, like how do you get people invested in this and like in the moment, right? Like, because a lot of it seems like it's just going to be like, oh, I just decide my intent and I just see where it goes for a round.
Yeah.
And then, oh, I can declare a new intent. And that really seems like that's all the player choices, just what their intent is.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So like I would try to like give the player more choice, make the players squirm somehow.
Yeah.
In having to make a decision, right?
All right.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you guys think? Sorry, I've been talking a lot.
What do you think, Blake?
I mean, I think the character profiles were tied into the story. That was all good. Yeah, that was all fine. That was all no problems there. It did seem a bit random with the turn order, because it's sort of it could be an NPC gets 5 goes in a row. I mean, it's unlikely, but it is possible, and everyone else is just sort of sitting there, and it's like it's a bit too it's too random sort of thing. I don't know if you just want to get everyone to draw a card and go down from highest to lowest or something, just to gets a turn, but yeah, that might be sort of back to the other extreme. But I mean, the initial setup of the story and characters is fine, no problems there. No need to change that at all.
Yeah, I think my next step would be making a currency and making it a fictional justification, like, or figure out what the risk is or the cost. So I think maybe not even a point system, like so let me draw a card randomly, or pick a card. That's a bad card. Let me draw something that isn't fucking terrible. Okay, here. So let's say there's a 9, and you really want to have that 9, but I think, but like, I might say, like it might cost you like X amount of rolls on the mind or on whatever, depending on the card. So if it's a 9, it's gonna cost you more than if it's a 4. Does that make sense? So like, stealing cards from the opponent is always an option, but it will cost you, and it will cost you more if the card is better. Does that make sense?
I mean, you could just say, okay, roll body or roll mind if you want to steal someone's initiative. And
yeah, that's what what I'm saying. But like roll more for higher cards, so it's not like, oh, I'm always gonna do that regardless.
Okay.
Does that make sense, Philip and Mike?
It does. It's not gelling in my head, but maybe it's just a case of play test it and okay,
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to like rules changes, I think you're just gonna have to test it, right? Like,
yeah.
like when you sit down to play test something, make sure you have to teach the game, but it's gonna be a lot more productive, I think, if you're just getting into the play, right? So yeah, I would definitely like get something together that you can put as a play test and that you can reference, and then then go from there maybe. But like I said, I do kind of like the idea of like using the cards to like. There's not really, I can't really think of a game in this vein that uses cards like that. So I think that's interesting, and I think it's refreshing in a way. I think you just have to figure out how you can kind of, open it up a little bit for the players. And yeah, just play test.
Yeah.
But
I think you should definitely be pitching it as a game that uses cards like that, because that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Yeah, next step will be playtesting the changes, or how to. Because I like the idea of stealing someone's initiative, but it costs you. I just have to figure out how to do it and write it down and then playtest it, as you said.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, like, we're drawing cards when we play too, right?
Yeah.
So so the cards that we draw, refresh my memory. Like, is that in combat situations that we draw cards?
The ones where it's just
not, right?
The not combat situations.
Okay, so maybe that's something that we can save and use somehow.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Like, we draw those cards, right? So they're out of the deck, and like, could we use those as a currency of sorts? I don't know.
I mean, once you go into combat, what technically happens is that all the decks are shuffled in. I just did it this way faster.
Okay, so if the combat turn order from the deck drawing is like a way of moderating the spotlight, then if someone has cards, then that's a sign that maybe like they've already had a lot of spotlight, right? So if those cards stay out of the deck, then I don't think it'd be contrary to that goal. Maybe something to think about whether, like, how you want to structure the switching between modes, right? Like, is it going to like be like a complete reset, or maybe you can play with that? Like, it might give you an opportunity to do something, and then. Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, I think it'd be interesting to maybe play with some advantage going in. Like, maybe, like, I don't know, for some reason I'm thinking like like, I don't know why it occurred to me, but like deciding someone as the leader or something. I don't know why it came to me, but like thinking about turn order, right, and why it matters. Like maybe you could think about like someone who has more control because they're like the leader of the group in a situation or something, and you declare who's the leader or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is very off the top of my head, but just like I'm
So
thinking about ways to open it up a little bit more, like going into the situation, not just like being in the situation. And I don't know, like I'm thinking like choosing like maybe someone as the leader gives them like a action or something. I'm not sure. Sorry.
yeah, I'm not sure. Like I think what I'm getting is that the what's it called? Like what came to mind when you said that is that when you shuffle decks into a single deck, you choose the cards that are going in, which sounds weird, but it might work.
Actually, no, because what I was saying is like when it's not a combat situation, we're just playing, right?
Okay.
We're drawing cards, aren't we? Like we draw a card, like it's a random card that we draw, and like maybe like instead of shuffling that back into the deck when the combat starts, you hang on to that card, and maybe that card can do something for you, right?
Hmm.
So that's what I'm thinking. Like maybe it's another like mechanic you could throw out. Like maybe so you can use that to open up the combat somehow in a little way, right? Like because you've got a card in your hand, maybe you can use that for something. So just think about like what that could possibly be used for to change the situation, right? So like I don't know if that's clear, but like just off the top of my head, like say I draw a card when it's not combat and it's the 3 of clubs or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's combat, right? And I've got a 3 of clubs in my hand. Now, does clubs mean anything in combat aside from
Whoever has the clubs goes, basically. Whoever is the clubs person goes.
Okay.
3
So
means it's
it would do 3 damage.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So if I have a card, maybe I could like give it to someone or give it to the GM to like do something or like make something happen, right? I'm tempted to have it be something that takes spotlight away from me to like as like a saving grace or something, right? Just because if I have that card, it means I've already had some spotlight. So yeah, I don't know. Just like seeding ideas. That's all I'm trying to do.
So I'm thinking of something else, something entirely different. It's like the whole taking cards away from the deck before you shuffle them in. I'm thinking of a mechanic where it's like you have like how magic would work, maybe, where it's like you like to have this ability in the combat. For example, you would have to take, for example, your 9 out of the deck. So you don't have access to that number, but you have this cool ability you can do. Does that make sense? As an alternative. So like when going into combat, you can choose to like limit how like your abilities, but get something in return.
Yeah, I mean that sounds good. I mean, I think the important thing is to like make it like a choice, like a complicated choice. Like there's a drawback to it, right? Like you can choose to take that card out of your deck, but it's going to affect some other thing that you would do later.
Oh, like maybe you can choose to take a card out of the deck and then you instantly recover a die. The card that you take out depends, like it depends on what your die is right now.
I mean, that's a very mechanical effect, but I don't know. I would think about more about like you know, how does this give you more flexibility, or how does this give you more agency in the combat, and then just attach a cost to it, right? Like maybe you you know, if you don't have that, and imagine if you don't have a 9 in the deck, then there's a chance that you won't be able to do something awesome, right? Because that card won't be drawn for you. So
yeah, exactly. That's my point. It's like,
so that is a cost. Like you're taking out your opportunities in the fight, but okay, so how would that reward you?
and
You know,
and that's what I meant. Like, sorry, like I'm guessing you can have it be a healing mechanic as well without having to rely on flags. Like, take the 9 out of the deck, and you get more health back or something. Like right before the game, right before combat starts, so you're more prepared, but you're also on the defensive more, and you're not acting as much.
like I don't know. I feel like yeah, but I feel like there is a side to it that if you flip it, basically if you put cards into the GM's deck, then you are giving up agency. If you think about it that way, right? If you flip it after you come up with that. So if taking, this may not jive completely, but if the idea is that if you keep your card from the GM, right, in a way to gain agency, is that clear?
No, I don't understand. I'm sorry.
Okay. So explain to me again. Normally, as it is now, you give all your cards to the GM, right?
Yes, and they shuffle it into.
They shuffle it all, yeah. And what we're talking about is you could choose to hold back.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
And so now if you choose to hold back a card, do you choose the card you hold back?
I think depending on which cards you hold back, it would have a greater effect, because a 9 is holding it back. A 9 is like a 9 is better than a 3. So
Right.
if you choose to hold back a 9, then you're gonna get more out of it than holding back a 3.
Right. And if you choose to hold back a face card, you're gonna get more out of it too, I believe, right?
Well, I don't think you can take out face cards, because face cards are like the end of round things, and face cards are bad. Like if you draw a face card, then it means you don't complete your intended action.
Well, if the GM draws a face card,
it means end of round. Yeah.
Okay, so you could keep a round going longer potentially.
Yeah. Potentially, which I'm not sure how that affects it.
Yeah.
I would keep it to only pip cards.
Right. So now, regardless, there's of course the effect that if you take a 9, of course, you're not going to be that's not going to get drawn by the GM, so you're not going to have that high hit, right?
Correct.
So if I have that 9 card and I chose to hold it back from the GM, what does that mean to me?
What I'm thinking,
aside from what we've established just now.
So yeah, I think, like I said, it's you get health back automatically.
Okay. So I get my die goes up automatically. Yeah. Instead of having to hit someone's flag, I can choose to do this and just be independent. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Which could also,
and that card just stays with me until the next combat, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean that's one way to do it, but I would think about okay, how can I add freedom inside of the combat? Like how can I open it up? Because that's still something you do right at the start, right?
Yeah, I agree. So that
if you have a thing on the table, right? Like I have a card in front of me and I chose to keep it out, like maybe I can put it back in. Like maybe that means something, right? So like maybe at some point during combat I can just be like, oh, I'm switching in this card or something, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Or I want this to be drawn next or something. I don't know. And at a cost, like at an additional cost, right? Because it's a good card. So and if you let people hold on to face cards, they could choose to put them back in and change the round. So everyone could restate their intent right in the middle there, giving you kind of a strategic advantage. Like if you needed to be more on the fly with your intent in a situation.
Yeah.
And you could alternatively, have it to where if people draw their cards outside of combat, you could have them trade their cards so that if you get someone else's card, you can like step in for them somehow. Like if you hand that to the GM during the combat sequence, like you put this card on top of the GM's deck and it changes, it like jumps in with that card. So it's an action, right? So like you're doing something with the card in the middle of the combat. So
I have an idea, which is you can choose to hold on to a face card for whatever cost, maybe no cost, I'm not sure. Hold on to the face card, and then you can choose to interrupt an action with the face card, but one of your die goes down immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you can put them at a cost. That's cool.
Yeah.
So I like the idea that you're, interrupting, right?
Yeah, I like that as well.
You know that I like that in games already, but but if you think about it, that's a way to add like a choice in the middle of the combat, right? In the middle of a round, right? Instead of just declaring your intent at the beginning of a round, you're doing something in the round. You're doing something potentially strategic, right? Potentially, game changing, right? So that might be a way to make the players a bit more invested and feel like they have a bit more power. And that's just one idea, right? There's different things you could consider, but I would definitely like test stuff like that out.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, does something like that sound interesting to you?
Player agency is always great. I think, OSR, right? Maybe emphasizes player agency a little bit less, right? It's a little bit more about this like push and pull between the GM and the bad guys and the traps and the monsters and the evildoers, right? And the treasure. And then you have the players and they're trying to, kind of resist those things. So that's one thing I don't always love about OSR personally. And I guess the question is, right, like if this is your response to OSR, you're fiddling with those dials to your own personal preferences, and this is a reflection of that, right? What would you like to see from this game? What would be your reflection?
Honestly, that's basically like I do have shared that feeling where it's like I'm okay with having more player agency right now. When I was playing the game, I was like it felt like it was too automated, at least from the deck.
Yeah, I think it was a bit confusing for me because I thought I was supposed to do something and it was just turned out there was nothing for me to do. So
so I'm definitely gonna add interruptions probably.
I mean, like whatever you add, it however you do it, it's your. It could be interruptions. It could also be counters, right? Like if this thing happens, then you can do this thing, right? Like you can think in if-thens instead of just straight up interrupts too. And that's another way to add, like agency and that kind of sequence like that, because it is a random sequence. So who knows what will happen if you just get the right trigger? Who knows what you could do if you're doing an if-then kind of thing. But I think Michael has a very good point about the OSR experience that you're kind of going for here and thinking about what kind of experience you might have at the table. And I just said this in my talk with Sid, and I'm like, a lot of people underestimate the table experience of OSR games. And they just think that, they have bad stories and that's all they think about OSR games, but they don't think about the table experience of an OSR game, which I think is a pretty valid experience and worthwhile in a lot of the case. So, and I think if you want to create a really worthwhile OSR type experience, when I think of playing an OSR game, I'm thinking about looking at my numbers and looking at what I've got in my cards. And so like you want people to be looking at what they can pull out to change it, right? Like if I'm playing, the Black Hack, you know, I can't remember the results off the top of my head, but I know I have items and stuff that I can choose to use.
Yeah.
And so, I know, and I think using those is sort of I mean, the Black Cat has turn order. Is that right? Am I recalling?
Yeah.
That correctly?
Well,
like it has initiative.
It has initiative, but it's more like if you succeed at your initiative, you go before the monsters. If you don't, you go after the monsters.
So basically, I can react because I don't decide my intent in advance in the Black Cat. When it comes to my turn, I choose what I do, and I just and I see right then whether I succeed or not. I make a roll and to see if I succeed. I could use an item and see if it depletes. So you're going for this card draw thing where your card draw is your turn order and it's also your success. So that makes that a bit more complicated to achieve.
Yeah.
And I think it's still interesting to explore it. But maybe you can think about how to add on an experience of choice, right? Like to engage the players and give the players more agency within what you've established, right? So like I think the interrupts are a good idea. I think the if-thens are kind of a good idea because I don't think you want to have sort of like a separate role, right?
Yeah.
So
I agree. I agree completely.
Yeah, I think that this is different, and I think that you have something going on here that is worth exploring, and creating this kind of OSR type experience using like cards. I don't know of anything like that. But then again, I'm not the most knowledgeable role player out there. But yeah, I mean, I think that that sounds like a fun idea. Like I've got a card here, and I'm sorry, just like knocked my headphones. You know that you have that card. Like everyone knows you have that card, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So it's like you can egg each other on, right? So that sounds interesting. Hey, why aren't you using that? Like, oh, it's because you don't want to take a hit. Well, you're fine. You're better than I am. Why don't you use your card? Like you get some table banter going on. And it's very OSR. So, yeah, something to think about. The OSR table experience. Very good thing Michael brought up there.
Blake, you have any thoughts?
With the turn order, you could just keep it simple. Give everyone a Benny. And at any point, they can go, I'm going to spend my Benny, I'm stealing the initiative, and bang, they get to go. However, that doesn't guarantee success. You've still got to shuffle the cards. It just means they've decided that this stepping into this moment is per game or whatever.
Well, technically, the Ben, like if you steal the Benny or steal the card when it's revealed, like I would do it like if that's the way I'm gonna do it. It's like spend the Benny, you get that card and that result. So if they grew out a 6,
that keeps it even simpler. So yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is you could do interrupt. So Michael's going to do something, and I'll go, I'm going to interrupt. I'm going to pick a card randomly from my deck. So I'm trying to help, but it may not work. So again, it doesn't give a guaranteed success because I'm picking a random card from my deck. So it might turn out to be a low one, and he's got a high one. So that way you get your mid-range 7 to 9 result sort of thing.
Well, the GM would have the deck, so unless you were keeping cards, you wouldn't have a deck to draw from. But I mean, I think like another idea is that maybe you can choose to take the next card, not knowing what it is, as like a consequence. That makes sense too. So
I'm going to help Michael, and then the GM takes the second card as my consequence.
Or the next card, right? Because if you put in a card, it's probably a good one, right? So, so I imagine like you don't know what's going to be drawn next, and if you become the target of that automatically, I don't know. What are you thinking? Maria?
I mean, I like the whole Benny for stealing card thing.
Yeah.
Like you're like hold on to that Benny, but that's basically like hold on to the Benny until you see a good card. Unless it's a good card from your ally. So, but I'm trying to think like what would make that a hard choice? Why wouldn't you not spend all your bennies on like 9s and shit? And I think so yeah, I think the additional result will have to be like, instead of having to spend bennies, I think you are combining a bit of the two. Like, you steal the card and then you take the next card, whatever it is. It automatically belongs to the person you stole it from. Does that make sense? Like, if you,
I mean, I think you're gonna have to write these things down, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna record them. You're gonna want to take some notes after this call.
It's gonna be written down.
So I think that
for example,
for
example, if Arana, who is hearts, steals from Mago, so it's diamonds. I think it's and Magos had like an 8 of diamonds. Yeah, it would be treated as an 8 of hearts, but the next card would be treated as a diamonds regardless.
Yeah, I mean, because if the GM draws my card, right? So like if my deck is spades, right?
Yeah.
And you draw a spades card, that would normally belong to me, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So
but it automatically belongs to.
So if someone steals it, then it's probably a good card, right?
Yes.
So someone spends their penny and steals it, and then I automatically get whatever the next one is, but it could be something bad.
Or it could be something good. You don't know.
You
could count cards to figure out, but...
I mean, it sounds kind of interesting. Like, if it was bad, I could pass it to them or something. Like, make them take the bad consequence for stealing my card. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm just throwing off the top of my head. I think that you've got some options, right? Like, you've got some options here to consider, and I think it would be worthwhile to collect your thoughts on them for these particular interrupt type mechanics that we're discussing, because you've got several different options. So I would say, I would say like consider them and maybe put them out in a document that people can read and weigh in on, maybe. And then like maybe you can start playtesting them. Now, aside from because I do kind of want to talk about the other stuff about the game too. So non-combat, right?
Yeah.
When we do stuff, right, we draw a card and decide to do it. And so one point I think is important is whether or not that's a charge situation still, because you were saying that the combat rules could also apply for a charge situation. And so I feel like, you do something, you draw a card, it's a charge situation automatically.
Yeah, that's
true. I feel like there is a distinction, right? Like you have to distinguish them somehow.
Yeah, combat is... I think combat or the shuffling in of decks is it's more when you have to figure out who acts first rather than a charge situation.
I mean, I would think about it more as like, I mean, it's a way to shift the spotlight, right? To shift the camera frame around. And so a situation where you think that people are going to want to all weigh in on something, where it's a tense situation and everyone kind of, I don't know. It's a bit tricky with the way that it's working with the cards, but I don't know. I feel like I would think of the cards that you draw outside of combat as being, okay, I'm going to choose to take this risk that I don't need to for a potential gain, right? For a potential bonus or something. It could even be a fictional bonus or something. And that way it's not like charged. It's not like a charged situation external to my character, as my character choosing to do something risky that might create a charged situation from its consequence, but not in and of itself. Like if I choose to grab the torch and burn the building down, I draw a card, and depending on how that goes, maybe they catch up to me and now we have combat here, or maybe I get away with it if I draw well, right? So something to consider. As for the characters themselves, I thought that the mind body was cool. the mind body stats. And then they have like these traits, right? Like, so like for my character, if I'm understanding this correctly, or my talents, I'm sorry, I've got immortal mortal. It's and then I've got training of 1,000 lifetimes. Sorry. And so those are like moves in a way, right?
Yeah. Well, it's more like the stuff you can do outside of like the normal mechanics. So yeah, I guess.
So like if we're doing combat, you can't kill me basically. It like creates an exception case.
Yeah.
So you can think about how you can create additional like fictional exception cases to manipulate combat. And then like for example, like maybe you could have a talent to where you can, you know, if you're a guardian type character, you can step in and take the blow for someone, right? And it's just a talent of yours. And maybe you have some that you also like start. You also like get an extra recovery, you know, like every break that you get or every time someone hits your flag, you get an extra die recovery instead of just one. So you could think about that. This game seems like it's very class-based. Is that what I'm gathering too? Like these are all 4 different classes?
No, but I just came up with them on this. Like for example, Dorsai actually fucked up and made like his talents wrong. There's no classes in here.
Okay, so
there's a doc on the handouts.
Okay, character creation. Decide. Okay, so write down your gear, your requirement. Decide what dice you're using for each of your starting attributes. Shuffle your suit. So, where do you choose your talents at?
I just made them up for the characters.
Oh, okay. So I would think about, you know, like, you know, our talents tied to like a class. Like, are there roles, like combat roles or something, or are they in a list that you choose from? Like, can you make like Wodu style? Can you make your own, right? Because Wodu gives you skills up front, and then you can choose to just ignore the classes, and you can make your own class, right? Like what's that look like? Because I feel like there is kind of a class thing going on here. In what you've created, what you've presented to us, at least for the talents. The talents are an opportunity to like create a game space, right? Like create those exceptions that make people feel special. Because I do this thing, right? Like, oh, I can step in and block your damage, so you better kiss my ass, right? So, you know, something to think about that. The other thing with the mortal. So they can't die with that talent you wrote.
I just
so
it's vague.
I mean, that's cool, but like I would like expand upon it. Like, okay, then what happens?
I wrote it quickly because I needed something like like just to
exactly. No, I understand completely.
Like when I need, like, I know I'm gonna have to elaborate in mortal
like
when
maybe like if you're considering how to use talents to, you know, like create exception cases, you know, dying is definitely not dying is an exception case. So like if you're trying to change the situation instead of dying, what happens? Like, oh, maybe they go berserk or something, right? So I mean, there's definitely like maybe for a round, like the GM controls the character for a round, and then they come back or something, you know. That's potentially very like, hazardous. It's very consequential, right? So, yeah, I would think about that.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop here because I'm tired and we're at 40 something.
I know.
Here.
I've been like game design chat mode all evening, and so I'm babbling on. I'm really sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I appreciate it. I do like what you said, and I'm sorry for not giving more time for the other two, but thank you for playing. Thank you for participating. I'm gonna stop the broadcast now.